Christopher Biggins, we can't have another Christmas affected. I mean, you'll go out of business to start with, won't you?
Well, I mean, last year was terrifying because, we were all the pantomime seasons in the last minute were cancelled. And quite rightly, because we were in a situation where there was a pandemic happening. But we had nothing. And not only actors, but theatre producers, directors, front of house, stagehands. So many people went out of work, it wasn't true. We cannot afford to do that again. America, on Broadway, the government there gave trillions of dollars to help them. We've been given nothing from the government. Theatre has been left out completely. And listen, I was going to go to Dartford last year to do Jack and the Beanstalk. I'm going there again this year. And God willing, I'll be there. But, you can't. I don't know what's going to happen. But, of course, at the end of the day, if there is going to be another pandemic and people are going to die and there's going to be nowhere to care for them, what are we going to do?
Well, Biggins, I have to be honest with you. Last year, I spent Christmas Day completely on my own because I was working, editing the Sun newspaper, where I was employed before GBNews. And I won't do that again. I'm not doing that again. I will make my own decisions this year, regardless of the regulations. And I get the sense, because I don't know about you, but I get the sense that folk are with me now. They want the government to butt out because we're an 80% vaccinated country.
Absolutely. I mean, I've had my booster, I've had my flu jab, I've had everything you could possibly want and get from the National Health. It's fantastic. But it's a very difficult situation. I mean, of course, I cannot let my fellow actors and people in the theatre go with another year with no money. I mean, it's bad enough as it is. It's just terrifying.
Dr. Bharat Pankhania, why do you think it's acceptable for the population to be continually threatened with the spectre of further lockdowns, further restrictions on our lives, and specifically with Christmas? I feel almost like it's some form of emotional torture, Dr. Pankhania, because they're threatening to take our Christmas away again.
Yeah, I agree with you, Dan. You didn't expect to hear that from me, did you? But I agree with you, right? And let me add something else, right? I also agree with Christopher that his trade is messed up and he goes out of pocket and they go bust. And similarly, Christmas is cancelled. Christmas is cancelled at the 11th hour. And who do I blame? Fair and square, the politicians. Why do I want to blame them? Because they mess it up. Now, why do I say that they mess it up? The answers are as follows. When you see a rising tide of issues, if you act early, fast, extensively, and put the brakes on and control it, and you control it well before it becomes critical at the 11th hour, and then you cancel
but
Christmas.
Dr. Pankhania, I've got to come in there.
You want to blame
Dr.
the person who let
I've
that
got
happen.
to come in there, though. I've got to come in there because what you're saying, and I have huge respect for you. We have spoken since the very beginning of this pandemic. But what you're saying has been proven to be untrue. Because if you look at all of the countries around the world that you have put on a pedestal for so long, the likes of Singapore, the likes of Australia, the likes of New Zealand, that all locked down hard and early. They are still in lockdown now, Dr. Pankhania. They are having restrictions on their Christmas. So I think it's just completely wrong to say, oh, you take away all of our freedoms early and then we don't have to worry. That's not true.
No, listen, you've got to let me answer because it is important for our viewers.
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
Right? And from an infection control point of view, we want to save lives. And the more cases you have, the more cases end up in hospital. Of those cases who end up in hospital, unfortunately, a few will die. We want to not do that. Therefore, what do? You should do is reduce the number of cases. And if you look at number of people dead, New Zealand, Australia, they're not comparable countries. On the other hand, look at Germany, comparable country. They have fewer deaths considering they've got a bigger population compared to the UK. So we haven't done well. What we need to do is very, very simple. Early, prompt measured actions, measured. I'm going to answer that measured bit in a minute. Saves lives. What are these measured things? Let's take Prime Minister Johnson today. He talks about the wave coming from the east. He's absolutely wrong. Because the wave is already here in the United Kingdom. The elephant in the Mr. Johnson doesn't want to address is as follows. None of his CMOs or his scientific officers are also addressing it, which is this. It is a multi-layered operation to control cases. It is not only boosters. So you have your boosters, you have your seasonal influenza, you need to mitigate in schools, you need to immunize in schools. It's not a big deal to wear your masks in a crowded place where transmission occurs. So when you do all those things, you keep cases down and Christmas is not cancelled.
OK, well, look, I'll come back to those points in a moment, but I want to bring Biggins back in. Biggins, don't you think it's about personal responsibility now? Because you talk about the case, you've had the 3 jabs, and that means that there's a 93% chance now, Biggins, that if you were to contract COVID, because you can still transmit it even if you have been vaccinated, but there's a 93% chance that you would avoid any form of serious illness. And it's virtually guaranteed that you would avoid death now because you're triple jabbed. So surely that's your risk to take if you want to get out back into the world.
Absolutely. And I wondered whether yesterday the Prime Minister's comment on I may have to cancel Christmas was to make all the people who haven't had the injections go and have them. Yeah. Because I think it could be almost a blackmailing situation he's trying to put us in. Because, of course, I don't understand why people don't have the injection. And they're there, they're ready, there are people waiting for them. You're going to say something, Doctor?
No, I was...
Were you going to say something, Doctor?
That this is serious shroud waving because he doesn't want to address the other things as well. And he would do well to address other things as well as talk about the boosters. So I agree with you.
Dr. Pankania, if you're talking about children, for example, the government has tried, but largely the population of this country has decided they do not want to take the risk of jabbing their children because they're at no risk of dying from COVID. Only something like 20% of youngsters in this country. Well, look at the facts. Look at the facts, Dr. Pankania. Around 20% of eligible young people have been jabbed. Because why take the risk of jabbing a child when there's absolutely no risk that they're going to die of COVID?
Let me explain this to you, Dan. It is multifocal, okay? You get infected, you become a case, some of you will die. Even one death that could have been saved is important thing to do. Furthermore, children also suffer from long COVID. Furthermore, children get infected.
The jury's out on that. The jury's out on the long COVID, by the way. The jury is out.
They can transmit infections to older age group and then create more illness.
Yes, but that's someone like Biggins, though.
So there are...
That's someone like you.
Hold on, Dan. Don't interrupt because you're spoiling my flow. Hold on.
I know, but this is a debate. We've got to have a conversation, Doctor.
Okay. So look, Dan, I am saying, in short, it is a multi-layered operation. To just harp on about take your boosters or else is not being genuine enough.
Biggins, you're obviously going to be surrounded by lots of people over the Christmas season.
Children.
Do you feel children too, and they will largely be unvaccinated. We know that. Now that you're vaccinated, I imagine you feel in a far better position than you did this time last year.
I do, but I am worried about 1,500 or 1,000 people breathing on me. That's the other thing that is a slightly worrying thing. I mean, because, we're going to be very vulnerable, those 10 or 15 actors on stage, because we have nothing between us and them. And, I've been to the theatre a lot in the West End recently to see reopening of shows. And you bet your life, very few people wear masks.
Yeah,
they don't wear them.
No.
And I've been on many, many trains up and down the country for work recently. Nobody wears the mask. I mean, I think
that's a beautiful thing. Don't you think that's a beautiful thing? Because it's saying We are claiming back our freedom. We're claiming back
You're wrong,
our
Dan,
bodies,
and
and
you
I
know
don't
it.
want to cover myself up with a mask. We're
You're wrong,
vaccinated.
and you know it today, Dan. You know you're
No,
wrong.
I don't know I'm
One
wrong.
day,
I know
one day
I'm right.
One day we're going to meet in person, and we're going to have this discussion. I'm telling you, you're wrong, and you're wrong, and you know you're wrong.
Look, why don't the two of you come to Dartford and see my pantomime? Then we can have a drink afterwards.
That's a great
We'd love
idea.
to.
That's a great
We'd
idea.
love to.
But Biggins, you might not be happy because I'll be one of those people in the audience without a mask because, you know, I was prepared to do a lot of this stuff last year, Biggins. Look, I'll tell you why. Because I was prepared to do a lot of this stuff last year when we were an unvaccinated population and I wanted to get back to normal. So maybe some of the mitigation was worth it. I genuinely think now, looking at the statistics, people are able to make their own decision based on their own personal risk. They're able to choose if they want to be vaccinated or not, and then they're able to choose about how they re-enter society. And personally, I think we have to reclaim normality because, Biggins, I worry that it's slipping away from us.
I agree with you totally, because we have to get back to reality. Otherwise, this will go on forever and ever and ever.
Yeah.
And we'll be in this situation where we're aliens to each other. I mean, it'll be appalling.
Yeah, and Dr. Pankani, you must accept, I mean, I read a statistic today, right, that apparently there's a 1 in 250 chance that at some point in your life you're going to be involved in a serious motor vehicle accident which could put your life at risk. We don't stop driving, Dr. Pankania. Do you understand my point?
Dan, I don't disagree with you. All I'm talking about is responsibilities, right? No, I'm not here to restrict people. And I abhor what's going on in Austria. I personally think the Austrians have got it wrong. They should have taken their population with them rather than lock them up. You know, I'm here to actually say what is the best way forward.
Okay, well, that's a beautiful note of agreement.
Masks.
That's a beautiful note of agreement. So let's end on that positive note of agreement. I love it. And we'll see you at Panto, Christopher Biggins. They better not shut down Panto again this year, or let me tell you, I will be furious.
Please.
Welcome to the GB News YouTube channel. You can watch us live 24 hours a day, catch up on your favourite shows, and join in the conversation in the comments below.
Don't forget to subscribe and you'll never miss any of our exclusive content.